right, Feryal Ahmadi, CEO of DMCC. Wow, Dubai Multi Commodities Centre, is that it? Wow, what an amazing name and stuff. So first of all, what exactly do you do?
So we are, let me see, we are facilitators, we're connectors, we are an international business district. We mean a lot of things to a lot of people, Martin. And in a nutshell, we create ecosystems in Dubai to attract trade flows and trade and business and investment to Dubai. That's what we do at the heart of the MCC.
So I look at this thing, I go, okay, we got desert, we have fair trade or free trade zones, and then we have international commodities in a world in turmoil. We have a rule of law here, strict rule of law. We have anti-money laundering, we have counter-terrorist financing kind of issues over here. So it's kind of a safe place in a very crazy world. Sort of like maybe the Switzerland, the new Switzerland. Is that what you're doing here?
I would say it's more. It's creating a very different environment for businesses who are looking for stability now, who are looking for security, who are looking to operate in an environment that provides them robust governance, robust regulation, robust infrastructure. And that is exactly what Dubai and DMCC is doing right now, to look at these verticals, industries, and see what else can we offer them for them to be able to come and set up in Dubai and operate and trade from Dubai and give them the connectivity and accessibility through Dubai to markets that they never had access to before.
What markets would these be?
So you're looking Middle East, you're looking Africa, Asia, as well as Europe. I mean, Dubai today, through Dubai, you can access about 65% of the world through an 8-hour flight radius. That's 2/3 of the world population. I mean, the aviation and logistics industry in Dubai is so forward and sophisticated that's unmatched around the world.
So you're creating a trading environment that is good in a world which seems to be pretty messed up these days, right?
Absolutely. And that is why we do see more and more demand coming into Dubai from all over the world. I mean, yep.
So they asked Wayne Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky's a hockey player. And they said, why are you the greatest hockey player in the world? And he said, well, everybody goes where the puck is. I go where the puck's going to be. And you're showing up here with these great things like the future of diamonds, the future of trade, the future. Is one of Dubai's successes is because they're looking at not today, but tomorrow?
Absolutely. I mean, 20 years ago, we never had a diamond community in Dubai. Nobody even thought that Dubai would ever reach where it is today. I mean, in 2021, Dubai was ranked as the international hub for rough diamonds in the world. In 2023, we had around $38 billion of polished and rough diamond trade coming through Dubai. I mean, that's a great success story, right? And then you ask, why are they coming through Dubai? I mean, what is Dubai offering them? It's the facilities, it's the services, it's the ecosystem, it's the auction facilities, and it's bringing all the players together. Dubai today is a gateway. It's connecting the miners and producers in Africa to the cutting and polishing, markets in India, and to the consumers in the Middle East and Europe. And that's what businesses are looking for.
So businesses are looking for governments that create an enabling environment without controlling it.
Absolutely. I would say that govern it, but in a balanced way. And that is exactly Dubai's approach.
Does the DMCC own any diamonds? Do they actually involve themselves, or they're just creating the environment?
We're just creating the environment. We don't trade. We don't get involved in trade. We just facilitate. We connect. We provide the platforms that these ecosystems and businesses need. And that is why they trust us, because they don't look at us as competitors. we're not diamond traders, and we don't want to be diamond traders. So this is the unique value proposition that DMCC brings in.
But it's amazing what you've done with real estate. I look at the DMCC and I think, hey, this is really a real estate company because they've taken desert, free trade or free trade zones, facilitation by government, and then they build all these buildings. I mean, look around you. I mean, wow. So is the DMCC like a real estate empire, or what's
No.
happening there?
No, I wouldn't say that DMCC is a real estate. We develop to cater to the needs of the growth of this community. We don't develop randomly. We develop only if we need to. And if you look, for example, at the last development that we did, Uptown Tower, which is part of a much bigger vision of Uptown District coming up, when we were constructing the first tower, the whole tower was leased already, 100%. And why? Because there is demand. We see that that demand is there, and that is why we develop. And I mean, as part of that, I'm so happy to say that we have entities like GIA, for example, who decided to come and set up their second headquarters here in Dubai. And that says a lot about Dubai and its positioning right now as the hub for diamonds.
Absolutely. But multi-commodity. I hear the diamonds is a small part of what you guys are really doing. Coffee or cybersecurity. I don't know. But talk to me more about
A lot.
what else is going on around here.
Definitely. So the largest segment that we have is in oil and energy and renewables. We have over 3,000 members in that sector today. And as I said, we're focusing on various ecosystems. Nowadays, everybody's talking about AI and gaming and crypto. We have the largest concentration of those sectors within DMCC right now, regionally. And we are looking at any other sector that we can bring into Dubai that Dubai has not been exposed to yet. And that goes across agri-commodities, cacao, across water, I mean, you name it. Our team are constantly looking at opportunities where Dubai can add value.
So you're open for business in any commodity. Really.
Absolutely, in any commodity.
How are you doing? I mean, cocoa prices have surged, and it's very active in West Africa where people are pretty poor. So how are you doing with cocoa? How's the cocoa business?
Cocoa business is something we're looking at in terms of the supply chain and seeing where can we actually tap into to support that industry from a sustainability perspective, from supply chain transparency perspective. And it's very similar when you look at tea and coffee, for example, where we already have a presence in, and we have set up manufacturing facilities for both of those. Today, you have 60% of the world's tea coming through Dubai. I mean, it's a phenomenal story. The UAE does not grow tea. Nevertheless, 60% of the world's tea is flowing through Dubai. And we want to replicate that story for as many agri-commodities as we can.
Dubai has a unique international culture, and it seems to be historic. When I first came here 20 years ago, we took me to the creek. And they explained that in this creek, there are boats. And if you want to send something anywhere in Africa, whatever, refrigerator, a car, maybe sometimes, certainly a motorcycle, you put it in one of these boats, and this goes to one boat, to the second boat, and the third boat, and it might end up in Sierra Leone or it might end up in the Congo or someplace. So Dubai always had that culture of being a trading center, a moving center. You're talking about tea, right? The physical tea come here?
Yes.
You have physical tea here?
Yes, physical tea comes into Dubai. It either gets re-exported from Dubai through its logistics network to the rest of the world, or it gets processed in various centers, including DMCC tea and coffee centers here, and then gets re-exported. Now, the whole idea is to retain the commodities in Dubai for as long as possible and value add to these commodities prior to them being re-exported. So we want to expand on that segment as much as we can.
So you're talking beneficiation in Dubai. Okay.
Absolutely.
So that's interesting. So if we looked at Dubai as just a trading center, and now you're talking about manufacturing. Mm-hmm. And now we do have that retail component because of tourism I think there's how many, 17 million or something tourists that come here every year?
Yes.
And also your expat community. How many Emiratis are there? I think there's only about 1 million Emiratis. How many Emiratis are there? 200,000? How many Emiratis are there?
Yeah, so Emiratis are the smaller segment, I
Sure.
would say, out of the larger population. And that's the beauty of not just Dubai, but the whole of UAE. It's always been a home for every nationality. I mean, in DMCC, we are 400 people, but from 40 different nationalities, and that's a government entity. I mean, that tells you a lot in terms of how open we are, how global this environment is. Everybody speaks English. You instantly feel at home when you come to Dubai, and that is something that we all, as government entities, strive to make sure that we are playing our part in that, whether it's from a tourism perspective, whether it's experience perspective, business perspective, to make sure that we send the message that everybody is welcome in Dubai. And whatever dreams you have, we will enable it for you in Dubai.
So you've been talking about the future. That's pretty gutsy in a world where, I think about a week ago, we didn't know if Harris or Trump was going to win the elections. And we're not going to talk politics here. But the question is, where is this world going, and how can you predict the future? Or what do you think about the future? Now, we know that you, in your talk, you talked about regionalization, which is essentially, what do they call it? Deglobalization, you could
Correct.
say.
Yes.
And you could look at deglobalization as one way and say, oh, it's terrible. But then again, regionalization means that things are coming up. You're looking at all these different areas. Supply chain restructuring, which is a very important factor, especially now in the diamond industry with sanctions, this, that. But the idea of where did my diamond come from, or where did my tea come from, for that matter. And then you're looking at digital services and AI. So it looks like you're combining these things to create new markets. So Dubai is your goal to create markets here? Is that what you're doing? Are you creating opportunities for other markets? But do you want markets here? Is that the goal?
We are creating, again, back to the ecosystem. And first of all, let me talk a little bit about those three kind of big themes that we are seeing. So every other year, the DMCC publishes a report called The Future of Trade. And the future of trade is basically the opinions and thoughts of policymakers, governments, businessmen around the world. And we go around various different markets and key hubs around the world to have a dialogue, basically, and get their thoughts on where do you think trade is going in the next 10 years. And when we published the report in 2024, those three themes that you mentioned were the key trends that we saw coming in. And regionalization, for example, that is something that we are experiencing in the UAE. Look at all the CEPA agreements that is being signed as we speak. I mean, one with India, it started in 2022, and then you had Turkey and Australia, and many, many more are coming, which means that countries have to look at how they can enable trade through bilateral agreements now. And waiting for WTO or global agreements, so that's taking so much of time with the geopolitics and macroeconomics condition. It will not enable trade for you. And that is something that we have seen, definitely for India as a result. I mean, the jewelry trade and export to India after CEPA agreement has actually increased by 200% from the UAE. And this is a live example of how this regionalization and bilateral agreements can support economies.
So the solution to the deglobalization in the world is more bilateral agreements. I think President Trump agrees with that very strongly, by the way. There have been these liberalist people very much, you have to work with everybody and all that stuff. But I think the WTO has pretty much run its course.
And the environment doesn't support that right now. I mean, I'm sure we would love to work with everybody, but it's not the right geopolitical or macroeconomics environment to enable that right now. So what do? Do we sit around and wait, or do we look for alternatives to enable trade?
So you're doing a lot of bilateral trade agreements with different countries. I know the last time I was here, Prime Minister Modi was here as well, and doing some great stuff, besides opening a mosque, but he was doing some really interesting things. And so I think that the multicultural positioning of Dubai is a key factor, because you may be looking at deglobalization, but you're not looking at cultural deglobalization. That means the cultures of the people are still merging together. People are looking at the West. I was talking to someone today. I don't remember all the names, but and he was talking to me about how they want jewelry. They want different designs of jewelry. They want to see period jewelry from the 1930s. They already have this. They already have that. And so there's desire for more more culture, more other cultures, people who want other cultures, and the fact that you have so many cultures in Dubai.
Absolutely.
We went to visit the jewelry stores in the mall, and the guy says, "Well, let's see. I've got a salesman that speaks Arabic, a salesman English, a Russian, a French." So he has like 6 or 7 salesmen all speaking different languages, and it's not just the language; it's the way people think here. So it seems to be that in Dubai you've got this open thinking going on, that everybody can relate to everybody. And you have different designs of jewelry. You go in there and say, I'm Russian, I want to see Russian jewelry. I'm Saudi, I want to see Saudi jewelry. And so you kind of have to kind of work with everybody around here. And I think that creates a, cultural globalization, if you want to call it that, which just transcends in a way, because it's the bottom, it's the basis of business later. And so maybe that's going to be an alternative to what we're doing here. But then you were talking about, supply chain. A lot of concerns about the supply chain today, especially when you're looking at a sanctions world in some levels, okay? But Dubai opens to everybody to a certain degree. But then you also have human rights and all those issues. So I think that's a future over here where people are saying, where does my diamond come from? Where is this from? And it's not just diamonds. It could be tea. It could be anything. How do you see that evolving?
Of course. And I mean, transparency in supply chains and sustainability is a big topic. And that is something we have covered in Future of Trade as well. And it's again, back to the UAE. We are looking at whatever we can do in terms of sustainability, in terms of increasing supply chain transparency, Martin. And that also goes for the diamond industry. I mean, as we speak, the DMCC is looking to set up a luxury innovation hub. What does that do? That will look at companies operating within the technology and AI space, looking specifically at this sector and seeing how can we bring more transparency, and how can we start tracking that good from the mine up to the consumer or retailer. And so you never talked about this 10 years ago. I think the consumer expectation has changed, and they want to know where their goods are coming from, and they want to know where they have been sourced from. And we have an obligation to fulfill that. It's something that no market or government can shy away from. I mean, maybe 10 years ago, this was probably, a good to have. Now it's a must.
So this is interesting. So you're saying, look, we got commodities, we got teas, we got diamonds. We want to add value. We may want to add value by manufacturing. But I think there's an important point here. We can add value through transparency of sourcing. In other words, a diamond that comes from a place where we know where it came from, if it's a good place, is worth more than a diamond that we don't know where it comes from. Same with all these other commodities. So I think this direction at a higher level of adding value, you might call it beneficiation, the Africans might think differently, but say beneficiation or adding value to the commodities through manufacturing. Very interesting, obvious. But now there's also this concept of adding value through sourcing transparency.
Yes.
And you want to be in that position because it's a trading. When you're trading and you're still tracking where the stuff comes from, and apparently you're talking to me about using IT and AI and everything to help you track where does this bag of coffee or where does this bag of tea come from, you can add value. That's what you think.
Absolutely.
And do you really believe that? You really believe it adds value?
It
Do
does.
consumers care?
Yes, definitely. Consumers do care. And we want to be able to, again, not do it. I mean, we will not be able to do it ourselves,
Certainly.
but we need to provide the platform to be able to bring that industry together to enable it. I mean, it's very similar to KP. Both of us were in the meetings where that community needs to come together in order to agree and see how do they solve some of these issues that have been on the table for decades now in terms of transparency, traceability. And it's very important that some entity takes the lead on it
Yeah.
and speaks about it, right?
Yeah, it's nice that you're doing that. I mean, there's great concern about greenwashing or whitewashing or whatever, that now everybody says it's okay when it's not okay. So you're taking a big responsibility here because transparency only works if it's absolutely honest, and nothing's perfect. So you got to be very careful about it, in my view. But I think the direction is clear. You can trade in Dubai in a way, hopefully, where you will be able to track where the product is coming from and maybe where it's going, even though it's moving between 20 or 30 different people within the trading network.
Yes.
So A sells to B, sells to C, sells to D, sells to E, but you still know where A got it from, so you can create that kind of safe zone.
Yes.
Okay. I'm very interested in AI and what you're thinking in terms of new technology, because, you know, I went to a diamond factory the other day here, and there aren't many. There's one that I know that's actually operating, and they were using the sarin technology, they were using all this other technology, and it occurred to me that the utilization of technology lowers the labor component significantly. So if you're cutting an expensive diamond, it doesn't really matter if you're paying a high salary in Dubai rather than a low salary in Surat for certain kinds of diamonds. And bingo, you know, the technology is lowering the cost, the labor cost component. And in better quality diamonds, for example, or maybe better quality tea for that matter, the idea that you can use technology not just to track it, but you can use technology to manufacture it. Bingo. It's going to be amazing. So if we looked at Dubai and said, well, you know, Dubai can never really compete with Surat or can never really manufacture things that you may be manufacturing anywhere else in the world, maybe you can, if in fact you're using a lot of technology. Now, I was looking at manufacturing technology. You're also talking about tracing technology. What other technologies? What else is happening here with this? You know, the whole world's talking. Is Musk moving in? I mean, what's happening here in terms of technology? What are you? You're talking about the future. That's very
Absolutely.
gutsy. That's a very gutsy thing to do, to talk about the future. You know.
With technology, there's no limits, Martin. I mean, we're talking about AI today. God knows what we'll be talking about in a year from today, right? But no one, I think all of us agree on the value that technologies such as AI and blockchain actually bring into ecosystems in terms of big data, in terms of ability to increase efficiency in order to provide you with the right information to be able to make decisions, which is something that's not available and accessible to all right now. Obviously, it's an evolving technology, so it won't have the answer to everything right now, but it's moving at such a fast pace. I mean, by 2030, the future of trade says that AI industry will have a value of almost $30 billion by that time, which is huge. And we were talking, for example, 2 or 3 years ago about blockchain. Majority of transactions now are developed on the blockchain, you know, to be able to monitor it and for you to be able to know. So that's great. And now AI is coming to complement that. So it's definitely good to have. But then again, when it comes to diamonds and diamond cutting, I mean, it's the debate about art and science, right? How much do you rely on science versus how much of it is art? And so that will go on, but we have to follow the market at the end of the day and market demands and what trends we can actually ride on and benefit from to grow that sector and to add value.
So this is interesting. You know, most time we think like entrepreneurs, okay, I'm going to go into AI. I'm going to go into diamonds. I'm going to go into tea. But I have this government job, which is you. I'm going to create the enabling environment for you. I'm going to create the nice place that you can work. I'm going to create a rule of law-based trading environment that all you guys can hang out in. And there seems to be a very strong desire to go beyond just trading centers, to get deeper into manufacturing or deeper into other parts of the business chain that maybe technology will
Enable, yes.
Maybe technology was going to empower you to be able to do that added value components.
Absolutely.
Because adding value is really where it's at. But let's take a look at the diamond jewelry business a little bit. So you've got the United States over 50% of the market, and that's where the money comes from. There's not a sufficient market here yet, certainly even with the 17 million tourists or whatever, to really make a dent. Now, the American wants to buy a lot of diamonds and jewelry and stuff, certainly diamonds, and gold, wow. Gold is a whole We're not going to get to gold this one. It's too much. But I'm an American guy trading diamonds in the world. How do I deal with Dubai? Why should I open an office in Dubai? What benefit am I going to get? Okay, I'm absorbing 10, 20, $30 million of diamonds a year trading. I mean, obviously, if you're a little retailer, you're doing $1 million or $2 million. You know, how does that work? You know, what would they do? They would apply for licenses, and then what would they find here? You know, what would attract? Let me explain to you. The United States market has got retailers. Let's call them Rolex retailers. Okay, and these guys sell nice quality retailers, but they spend their time playing golf with the president of the bank, so that when his daughter gets engaged, they're gonna. So they're transcending the product to the people. They're people, but they can't keep every kind of diamond. It's impossible because, you know, they got a pear-shaped 2-carat. The daughter of the banker wants an emerald cut, you know. So they have these other people. So that's what they call the memo buyers. So they sit there and they get specific diamonds for specific calls for specific people because they're people. That's what they do. Now you got some guys that are dealers in New York or Boston or Chicago, and these guys keep a couple $1 million worth of inventory. So when the jeweler calls, the next day, boom, Federal Express, diamonds there, no problem. They're the cash buyers. So let's say you got cash buyers that are doing, I don't know, 30 million, 40 million a year, something like that. They're looking at Dubai. They say, should I mess with Dubai? Should I mess with India? Why should I come to Dubai? What would Dubai have to offer these kinds of companies?
If you want to expand your market, expand the reach, expand the client base that you have, then definitely I would recommend you look at Dubai. In terms of logistics, of setting up an entity, I mean, that's very easy. You can do that fully online now, even without coming to Dubai through DMC. Everything happens fully online. So you come into an ecosystem to be able to access markets and ecosystems and entities that you are far away from, let's put it that way. And you don't have visibility or accessibility to today. Dubai will enable that for you. So someone, as you mentioned, sitting in the United States with that specific market, targeting that market, what happens if they want to expand into Asia, into Africa, into the Middle East market? Dubai will handhold them, and DMCC will support them in accessing these new markets because it's not easy. You as a newcomer will have a lot of questions. You know, where do I start? How will this work? What are the market dynamics? What is the demand? What do they like? What don't they like? You know, who can I talk to? Who has been through a similar experience before? All of that gets facilitated through entities such as DMCC.
So DMCC can help us with marketing. Let's say I've got $20, $30 million worth of diamonds. I'm thinking, wow, I'd love to sell diamonds to retailers in Saudi Arabia. Typical case. I come to the DMCC and they say, I'm here. I've got all these diamonds. Maybe I can ship them in and out or something like that. So what would the DMCC do for me?
So
have a list of retailers in Saudi Arabia, or introduce me, or get me someone that speaks Arabic? I mean, what exactly would the DMCC be able to do?
So we will definitely be able to connect you with the right players within the market. We have entities such as Dubai Diamond Exchange, for example, that offers the largest auction and tender facility in the region, which you will have accessibility to once you become a member of DMCC and DDE. You already have 1,300 members under the DDE who are multinationals already operating within the diamonds and precious stones sector that, again, you will have direct access to once you become part of that community. So these are the benefits that DMCC will bring to you as an entity who's currently outside the UAE.
So I'm a young, aggressive American, or I'm a young person in general, doesn't have to be American. What advice would you have for me?
Explore. I mean, look at opportunities where you believe you can grow, and markets that you see there is potential in, and reach out to us. We will support you. We have the data, we have the intelligence. We will guide you whether this is the right market or not, whether we can connect you to the right players for you to speak to get advice from, and then you can take it from there. I mean, you won't lose anything.
So what's the URL? Where do we send people here?
DMCC.ae. That's the place where you can find all the information that we talked about today, and we will be happy to support.
So let me say, guys, I've been hanging around here for 20 years. We've been doing large auctions. We had 50,000 carats a few weeks ago of Melly from, and we worked with them, and, you know, we sold a lot. We sold 89% of the goods, which is kind of amazing in this market. A lot of Indians buying here, a lot of other people buying here, so this is a real melting pot, you know. And we're doing single stone starring here. So we're showing goods in New York, we're showing goods in Dubai, and we're showing goods in Ramat Gan as well. And it's really great to have this world platform, if you wish, to do things. And I'm going to see if these guys can help us, man. We're going to be leaning on them too, but I would encourage people to visit the website, see what you can do. And if you really want to grow your business, these are pretty aggressive people here, by the way. If you want to grow your business, then bang on their door. So thank you. I think this has been fun, and it's been nice to see you and everything. And women power, women power, women power, women power. So, you know, this is the real thing over here. This lady's running this whole thing. If you saw these buildings, and we're going to show you, we'll take pictures of the DMCC. You're going to see all these buildings. And despite what she says, let me tell you, these guys are big real estate people. Big, big, big buildings, okay? And that's also cool happening behind the scene. But I'm really happy that you spent the time with me.
Thank you, Martin.
I wish
It's
you
been a
well. It's
pleasure.
really great.
Thanks,
Okay.
thanks.
Thank you.